All right, so what's going on? What's going on? My name is Ryan King, aka Ryan Adriel. Ryan Adriel is my actor's name. But for the purposes of this show, Lotbox Television, we're gonna go with Ryan King. All right, so what is Lotbox? Lotbox is living outside the box. Now, living outside the box has been something that's been on my heart for a long time. When we're talking about living outside the box in terms of what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to give exposure to young people for the most part. I would say your high school seniors, junior year, maybe those who are now, in college, around that age. That's my target audience. However, I feel like anybody can benefit from, what I'm about to say, regardless of what stage of life you're in. I feel like it's never too late to do what you love, and that's what Lotbox is about. Is the exposure, helping young people figure out what they actually love. What I, just my personal opinion, but a lot of times, I, would- hmm, just my personal opinion, but a lot of times we kind of find ourselves doing things in life that seem like it should be right. And, sometimes that's due to a lack of exposure. Myself, I remember going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, what I ended up doing is just like, I ended up in the PE department. And I was like, I guess I'll just be a PE major because in high school, I just had no idea. I never did anything like looking into careers in the schools. And the sad thing is, I went to private school. Um, and, the quote unquote thing about private school is supposed to really prepare you for the next level. And, the schools I went to really didn't do that. I remember going to college days for schools, college days, but even with that, you get to college days, and if you know what you want to do, you go out and do it. But if you don't know what you want to do, then you're kind of stuck, and that's where I was. So like I said, I ended up just getting into physical education, and I think I did that for like half a semester before a friend of mine, a classmate from high school, she introduced me to physical therapy. And, I didn't know much about physical therapy, but what I did know is it made a lot of money. Or I didn't say a lot of money, it made good money. Actually, you can make some pretty good six-figure money with physical therapy if you do it right. Anyway, so I became pre-physical therapy in college, and from there it was on to undergrad. We call it pre-physical therapy, and then I ended up in physical therapy school. Now I remember the summer before I went to physical therapy school. Actually, it was the end of the school year of my senior year. We had to do observation hours, so I decided to go ahead and do my observation hours. And while I was doing my observation hours, I realized I don't think I like this. But at that time, I was doing well in school, so I was accepted to a physical therapy program up in Michigan, and I decided to go. So I went to physical therapy school, and during my first semester, I had a teacher come up to me, and he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Uh, yeah." I was lying. I was dead ass lying, but um, I had tried to convince myself this is what I wanted to do because one, I knew it made good money, and two, it seemed like the responsible thing to do. Uh, but within all of that, I matriculated through physical therapy school, got my doctorate degree, and I got hired actually from one of the internships that I did. And I remember day one, like literally day one of being a physical therapist. I was like, I need to find something else to do. And that's when my quest began. And I remember after my first year out of physical therapy school, someone had come up to me and they were like, so what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, you dropped out of physical therapy school. I was like, nah, I graduated. But the thing was, they saw me doing so many other things that they thought I just had quit. It was like, nah, I work as a physical therapist and I just do all this other stuff on the side. All the stuff on the other side was because my heart was saying this is not where you're supposed to be. Um, And honestly, I went into a depression, like a deep depression for the next like 8 years of my life. Um, and it was a tough time. It was really, really tough time. And it wasn't until I decided to actually I was advised to go to counseling because I had got to a place where my depression had started to become physical. So I was starting to feel physical pain, and there was nothing that had happened that should make me feel pain. So from there, I went to counseling, and through counseling, we got into doing different tests, different assessments, and entertainment was my number one. Healthcare was number 29. So as you can see, I was way out of my zone. But entertainment wasn't something that I was really even looking at because it just wasn't in my scope. And I feel a part of that is because when I was younger, I was just never really introduced to this stuff. And from there, it was just right around the same time. You know how I'm about to say the word prophecy, not prophecy. What's the word? Divine providence. How that works. I was working in a church, and I was doing audio visual for the church, and I had a friend who needed me to help them with some audio visual for a play. And so I was like, yeah, cool, I'll do it. Just so happened that they needed me to do a part in the play. And I was like, cool, cool, I'll do that. So I did it. And I promise you, during rehearsal, I did it. And the feeling that I got was of another world. Like I felt like I was home for the first time since ever. I felt like I was where I needed to be. So that was like my first introduction to the entertainment acting world. And from there I grabbed onto it tight. And I'm still in that world right now. Working my way up the ladder. I've had the opportunity to do some dope things. I can say that I had the opportunity to talk with the late Chadwick Boseman. And I promised him, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be on the next Black Panther with you. Little did I know that he knew that he was sick, and but he said to me, "I'll see you there." And a part of me is like, I gotta fulfill this promise. That I'll be on that set with him, even if it's in spirit, or that he'll be with me, even though it's in spirit. Um, but I got to do that. I've got to work on Marvel stuff outside of just Black Panther. I've got to be on television shows. I've done commercials. um and I'm like I said, I'm working my way up the ladder. It's definitely not an easy thing, but I found where I belong. And my acting has turned into writing, and my writing has turned into directing and producing. And I had a friend say to me, he was like, I see you as like the next Spike Lee. I was like, you know, whatever the universe has for me, I'm gonna, continue to go down that path, but at least I know I'm in my right path. And I feel like there's nothing like that. I would tell young people, a few years ago, I'd say, there's nothing worse than, being in a job that, you just hate, you really hate, and, having to wake up every morning and do that. It's soul crushing. Now, are there jobs that you got to take, to get by? Oh yeah. Now, mind you, I'm still a physical therapist. I'm still out here, seeing patients. Because I'm gonna be real with you, being an actor, unless you at the top tier, you got to do what you got to do to make sure you put food on the table. And for me, I got a little one on the way, so I got to make sure I put food on the table. Not only that, I got a wife, so I got to make sure I put food on the table. Um, yeah, but with all that being said, I the whole story was about why I started Lotbox, because I find that sometimes your calling in life is really tied into the pains that you've had in life. So like how you would have counselors and psychiatrists and psychologists working with people. A lot of times it's because they got some stuff going on with them, and they don't want people to run into that themselves. So they're like, okay, I want to help people because I know how I feel. And that's the same thing with me with Lotbox. Is like I want to help young people get exposure to what's out there. So we know about the norms. We know about the teacher. We know about the doctor. We know about the lawyer, police officer, firefighter, businessman, what have you. But there's so much out there. There is so much out there. And that's what this show is about. It's about exposure. So, this is episode 1, but there will be episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to keep it rolling. In my time on this planet, I've had the opportunity to meet some really dope people. A matter of fact, on my honeymoon, I met this guy who races sprint cars, and I was just like, "How do you even get into that?" So we talked about it, and I'm gonna have him on the show, so I'm not gonna go into it. But that's just one person. I wanna open up the avenues of your mind to what is out there, and for people who are living a life that they're like, "Yeah, I really don't like what I do. I really don't care for it." It's not too late. It's not too late to pick up and say, you know what, I want better for myself. I want better for my family. Because yeah, you may be financially providing for your family, but at the same time, you're dying on the inside. And how much can you give to your family, your kids, if you're not doing something that you have any interest in and it's just for the money? A lot of times we do things just for the money because it makes, it allows us to feel, secure. And I'm not saying that just leave your stuff and, go do whatever. But I'm saying if you know that you have something, a passion in your heart, look into that passion. See what you can get out of that. Go for what your heart desires. Because I'm telling you, when you do that, like waking up in the morning is easy. Like I get up in the morning, especially like I just finished a showcase for my school, Identity School of Acting, which is out in London. So we did a showcase online via Zoom, and I didn't have to set an alarm clock. When I got class, I don't have to set an alarm clock. I'll tell you the wildest thing. I can be on set for hours on end, no problem. Not sleepy. Just good, just giddy. And I'll leave set, and then the next day I'll go to work and I'm dragging. And it doesn't matter if I got good rest. It's just it doesn't feed my heart. It feeds my family, and that's important. But it doesn't feed my heart. And what I'm trying to push is for people to, especially young people who have not started life yet. They're still in high school, they're still in college. Figure it out. Find your passion and go after that. A lot of times money will follow the passion if you're really passionate about it. But, sometimes you don't even know what your passion is because you've never been exposed to it. Case in point, I would have never thought that surfing was something that I would be in love with. But when I was living in San Diego, I decided, for my, what year was that? For my 36th birthday, I decided, I want to try surfing. So, my wife, for my birthday, that was my birthday present. We took surfing lessons. And I was just like, man, I would have never, ever thought that this would be something that I'd be interested in, that I'd love to do. Now, I can't wait to get back on the water, and do some more surfing. So that's another person. I talked to my surf instructor. That's all he does. All he does is surf instruction. That's his job. That's his passion. He wakes up every morning and he goes to the beach and he does what he loves. And he's providing for his family. So it's doable. I met a guy in about to say Peru. No, it wasn't in Peru. It was in Costa Rica. His job, he does tours, whitewater rafting tours, bike tours. So he's going to be another person that I pull on. I've met so many people around this world, and I am overexcited. I'm overexcited to bring you guys into that world of what possibilities you have. So, this is episode 1. How long has this been going on? I don't even know. But this episode is not going to be as long as the other ones because I don't feel like just talking to you guys like that. I mean, I feel like talking to you, but I don't feel like just boring you with my life story. I think I've said my points, and I'm looking forward to bringing you guest after guest and giving you more and more exposure of what's out there. So please, subscribe, hit the like button, and I'm gonna be bringing you some stuff real soon. Thank you so much. Y'all be good. Live box, baby.